Dontaesboxingnation, Dontaescookingnation. We are out here. Where are we at?
We're out here in Bangkok.
There you go. You hear that? I just made her a proud citizen of Long Beach, California. You heard the accent right there.
Ireland.
She's from Ireland. Matter of fact, introduce yourself to the world.
My name's Hannah and I'm from Ireland and I'm the biggest fan of cooking show.
You hear that?
I can't stand Stevenson. Damn, man. Yo, this where it's so backwards, man. So backwards. They hate black people. I go 12 rounds with a fighter. Oh, he's so boring. Lomachenko go 12 rounds with somebody. Oh, he's the Matrix. The Matrix. I never seen nothing like him. Crazy.
Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? So let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get into this one. So I woke up this morning in beautiful Thailand. For those of you guys who don't know, I've been living in Thailand for now 4 years. It is an unbelievable country, especially when it comes to the way they treat black people out here. I'm bringing all this up to tell you guys that when I wake up, obviously, it is a complete different time zone. We're 11 hours ahead of US time, meaning when I'm usually waking up, you guys are going to sleep, especially if I wake up late, which I do almost every day. So when I woke up, I found out that Shakur Stevenson, he actually responded to the many videos that I've done. And when I say many videos, I'm talking about from things that Shakur Stevenson has been saying lately, from him saying that Tyson Fury would beat Muhammad Ali, to him doing an interview with a well-known racist, Paulie Malignaggi, to him praising Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez and the way he praised him. And I'm just summing things up. Those are just a few points. That's not even everything. So I'm gonna play exactly everything that Shakur Stevenson said when he did his live stream or whatever it was, and I'm gonna respond to every single point that he made. I'm also gonna play some of the clips from the video that I just made. I made a video, and I'm going to explain all of this, but I made a video and I titled it, Jesse Rodriguez will be greater than Shakur Stevenson on the pound for pound list. Meaning if Jesse Rodriguez continues to win, no matter who he beats, what champions he beats, in the next year or two, old media, they're going to be trying to put him over Shakur Stevenson. Even though Shakur Stevenson is a way better fighter, even though he will most likely have bigger wins on his record, and a much more established resume, old media, they will disrespect Shakur Stevenson like they do all fighters on the coincidental list, and they will try to replace them with fighters like Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. Now, that's not Rodriguez's fault, but this is what old media will do with Rodriguez. Now, the majority of people, boxing fans, they didn't even know who Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez was until Shakur Stevenson came out and continued to praise him. Listen, I already said in my last video, the video once again that Shakur is actually responding to, I said in that video, there's nothing wrong with congratulating fighters and giving them props, because I even told you guys in that video that Bam Bam, he just came off of a really big win over Rungvisai, Sisakit Rungvisai, a fighter from Thailand, the guy who knocked out Chocolatito Gonzalez, and he beat Francisco Estrada. I said in that video, Bam Bam is a good fighter, but we don't know how good he is, because the fighter that he fought, when it comes to Rungvisai, style-wise, he is a limited fighter. He's a flat-footed, wide-punching fighter who lacks defense. He's not someone that's going to really force you to elevate your game. The only thing you have to worry about when it comes to Rungvisai is his power. And once you start avoiding his punches, you take away his best weapon. And Jesse Rodriguez was able to do that. You know, Shakur, he said he would like to see Bam Bam against Inoue in 2 years. But while he's waiting for that fight, Roman Gonzalez is in his division right now. And because styles make fights, that would be a much tougher fight for Bam Bam than the Rungvisai fight was. They're in the same weight class, and that's a huge fight. So they're going to have to fight against each other if Rodriguez stays at 115. But Rodriguez trainer, Robert Garcia, he just came out and he says that he wants Rodriguez to move down in weight, move back down in weight where the champions are more weaker. So if Shakur Stevenson doesn't believe that Rodriguez is ready for Inoue right now, then he has to be ready for Roman Gonzalez, right? Hopefully Shakur Stevenson, he'll come out and make another post about Rodriguez and this time say he would love to see the Chocolatito Gonzalez fight. Because if Bam Bam Rodriguez is truly a special fighter, he could definitely prove that against a fighter as dangerous as Roman Gonzalez is today. And for the record, guys, this video really ain't even started yet. I'm just surmising everything for you guys. So ESPN, they posted a tweet where they said a star-making performance from Bam Bam Rodriguez. Shakur, he responded to the tweet by retweeting, and he said, "I'm picking Bam Bam in 2 years. I promise. Sorry, but this kid is so special." And then he put out another tweet where he was like, "Wow, this kid is so special," etc., etc. He put out another tweet where he said that this is one of my favorite fighters. Then he went on his Instagram and he uploaded a video of him sitting down watching the Rodriguez fight. And he was just saying, you know, this kid is just really sharp. He's really sharp. Listen, there's nothing wrong with praising fighters based on their skills. That's what we do all the time. When Lomachenko beat fighters like Nicholas Walters, I completely praised Lomachenko. When Tyson Fury, when he beat Deontay Wilder the first time, before I found out that he cheated, I did nothing but praise Tyson Fury in that video. It's still up today. So when Shakur Stevenson says, look, man, I'm basing things off of skill, etc., there's nothing wrong with that. But what I was doing is I was looking out for Shakur Stevenson. I wanted Shakur Stevenson to understand that if you start overpraising this guy, especially if we still don't know how good Bam Bam Rodriguez is, old media, they're going to try to use Shakur Stevenson's words to justify removing Shakur from the list, or at least putting Rodriguez above him a year from now. I mean, ESPN, they just dropped Shakur Stevenson down to number 10. So they barely have him on the list right now, and they did that just to put Arthur Beterbiev on their list. They have him at number 7. They kicked the undisputed champion Devin Haney off the list, and they dropped Shakur down to number 10. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to get Shakur Stevenson to open his eyes, because I'm telling you, I know what's coming. Everything that I have said on my channel whenever I was talking about Shakur Stevenson, it was in defense of Shakur Stevenson. It was fighting for Shakur Stevenson because old media continues to disrespect Shakur Stevenson, just like they do with all fighters that look like Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson, he said a couple of weeks before the Oscar Valdez fight, when I win this fight, I will be loved. They will respect me when they see what I do to Oscar Valdez. About a week after Shakur Stevenson beat Oscar Valdez, Shakur was saying, man, the hate is real. I don't know why I'm receiving all of this hate. And I was talking to Shakur Stevenson's uncle, Dirt, before the Oscar Valdez fight. And I was telling Dirt, I said, you know, Shakur Stevenson, he's telling people, you know, he's going to be loved and et cetera, but I was telling him, I said, but what he has to understand is, unfortunately, the majority of boxing fans are racist. So when they see what Shakur Stevenson does to Oscar Valdez, those fans in particular, which unfortunately are the majority of fans, they are going to hate Shakur even more because now he is a bigger threat. Shakur Stevenson has the potential to become pound for pound #1, the best fighter in the world. And old media's biggest fear is that there will be another Floyd Mayweather in the sport of boxing, but there's no way they can prevent that. No matter how much they try to discredit fighters like Shakur Stevenson and every other fighter on the coincidental list. You see, guys, no matter what Shakur Stevenson says about me or how he responds to things that I have said, I'm always going to be consistent when it comes to speaking the whole truth, because this has never been about Shakur Stevenson. This has always been about the racial double standards that exist in the sport of boxing and exposing them. This is way bigger than Shakur Stevenson and me. It's way bigger than that. So with all that being said, let's really get into this video, because everything I just said right there, once again, that was just talking, but class is about to be in session now, because we about to go ahead and play this whole live video that Shakur Stevenson put up. And like I said, I'm gonna respond to every single thing that he said. Let's go ahead and get it started.
Ask me like I'm not for my people. Just, yo, dude really threw me under the bus on his YouTube channel because he got beef with Top Rank or whoever, whatever white people or however it go, you got beef with them. Don't throw me under the bus in the process, bro, because that's contradicting your whole statement. You literally throwing another young black successful athlete under the bus because of the fact that you got beef with them. They put these pound for pound lists together and say this or do whatever. That's not me, bro. It's not me. I feel how I feel about certain situations at the end of the day, but motherfucking man, I'm just saying, man.
All right, let me just start by saying this. Exposing double standards, it has nothing to do with beef. There's no beef with ESPN. Everything that I said about ESPN was to defend you and people that look like you. Just because you see racial double standards and you say something about it, it doesn't mean you have beef with them. I played the clip at the beginning of this video of what Shakur Stevenson said about the hate, how they hate on him, and they hate on him because he's black. He talked about the racial double standards. That's the exact same thing that I'm doing. When you say, oh man, just because you got beef with these white people and they pound for pound lists, the pound for pound lists, these are things that are about you. This is not about me. They're not disregarding or discrediting me. And then you said I'm throwing you under the bus. I never threw you under the bus. You're the one that said that Tyson Fury, he would beat Muhammad Ali. You're the one that decided to compare him to Muhammad Ali out of all the other heavyweights. You did that, not me. And we're going to completely break down the whole Tyson Fury situation when I play the clip of what Shakur said about Tyson Fury in response to me. But yeah, man, to say the things that I've addressed when it comes to the double standards from ESPN to DAZN and anyone else, to say that really has nothing to do with you, it has everything to do with you. I mean, you were the one that was complaining about the fact that ESPN and Top Rank, they were trying to protect Oscar Valdez from you because they know what you're going to do to him. Your exact words. But now when I'm making these exact same points, now this beef, and you saying that ain't got nothing to do with me?
Well, y'all on the Top Rank vote, so, I mean, do you think that?
I used to sit back and complain, and I still, sit back and complain, but you gotta realize they ain't really gonna do too much. They in control, they in power, but I will tell the world that they love Oscar Valdez, and they don't want me to be in the ring with Oscar Valdez because they know what's gonna happen. And Oscar Valdez don't want it either, so he can sit there and after a fight go and say, oh, I want to fight Shakur Stevenson, but when we reach out, it ain't no talks into me and him fighting. There ain't nothing. Yeah, it's a bunch. You feel me? Like he gonna say at the interview, and feel me? But he ain't really jumping in towards it.
All we've been doing is pushing for these fights, trying to help you get the fights that you want to get. Ain't nobody throwing you under the bus. But we're going to get deeper into that later on in this video. I mean, all of the disrespect that you have dealt with in the sport of boxing, and you feel like this is the moment where you were thrown under the bus? We're the ones that's giving you the credit that you deserve when they're trying to put fighters like Inoue and Tyson Fury, who, as you even said yourself, is retired, but they still have him ranked way over you. New media. We're the ones that are putting you high on that list where you're supposed to be. Regardless of what you personally think about me, you could call me whatever you want, but I am always consistent with the whole truth. I never base what I say off of what type of friendship we have, what type of relationship we have. Because that has nothing to do with the whole truth. All right, guys, so moving on. Now, just to let you know, I kind of switched some of the clips around. Obviously, this clip right here was something that Shakur Stevenson said later on in the video, but I wanted to go ahead and respond to this first. Now you guys are going to hear everything else that I said is going to be in order. Let's get back to what Shakur said.
I used to rock with you, bruh. I don't rock with you, bruh. That's crazy, bro. I used to rock with you. I was one of the first people who, like, supported your page, backed you, all types of shit. Like, now you motherfucking keep getting on this YouTube and keep motherfucking talking all types of crazy about me, and I don't understand that shit, because it's like, I really used to back you crazy. I ain't never had no bad energy for you, for anybody that work for you. Ask the light-skinned dude that be recording for you. I always show him love. I always tell him, skip the line. Come on, pull up. I do interviews, all type of shit. When motherfucking you first started your page, you put me and Devin out there on the sparring videos. I support it. I appreciate it. It was all love.
Let's just stop right there. Shakur Stevenson, he said that he supported me. I've been knowing Shakur Stevenson since he turned pro, before he turned pro. I've been knowing him for years and years and years. And you guys heard Shakur say, by his own admission, it was me that put up the footage. It was me that recorded the footage and put up the footage on my channel, on my platform, of Shakur Stevenson sparring against Devin Haney. At that time, outside of other amateur boxers that have seen Shakur Stevenson fight in amateur fights, nobody knew who Shakur Stevenson was. But you guys never heard me talk about that, right? You never heard me brag and say, well, you guys know I put Shakur on. You never heard me say anything like that before, right? The only reason we're talking about that right now is because Shakur Stevenson himself just said it. But I find it so ironic because, once again, Shakur is talking about how he had my back, he backed me, he backed my channel, and he was showing me so much love, so much respect. But yet the only time you come out to say that, Dontae, you was the one that put my sparring up is when you're doing a diss video. All the years that Shakur Stevenson has been doing interviews, Shakur has never voluntarily came out and said, shout out to Dontaesboxingnation, shout out to New Media. Dontae, he was the first person to put up my sparring of me and Devin. That video went viral and everyone knew who I was instantly after that video. Shakur, he never said that. He never voluntarily came out and said this outside of this video that he just made. And even when he said it in this video, if you notice, he says, matter of fact, let me just play that part again.
When motherfucking you first started your page, you put me and Devin out there on the sparring videos. I support it. I appreciate it. It was all love.
He said when I put the video up of him and Devin Haney sparring, the first thing he said was, I support it. And then he said, I appreciated it. It was all love. In that situation in particular, that was me showing you support. In fact, the whole time that I have known Shakur Stevenson, it's been me showing the support. It's been me making these videos, exposing these double standards. I was the one that was making all these videos. My video was the one that went viral when Bob Arum disrespects Shakur Stevenson more than he had ever disrespected any other fighter, especially in a press conference. Bob Arum made history, and he decided to walk off the stage right before Shakur Stevenson was about to promote his fight in the main event against Oscar Valdez. Bob Arum has never done this in the thousands of press conferences he's done. And you can't use the, oh, you know, Bob is old and he can't be sitting up there for a long time. Bob actually promoted the undercard fights. It wasn't until Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez were about to hit the stage, that's when Bob Arum decided he did not want to be a part of it. When ESPN was completely protecting Oscar Valdez from Shakur Stevenson, it was me. It was Aki, New Media. We were the ones that was providing our support just to get Shakur Stevenson the justice that he deserved.
Like I said, it's still politics at the end of the day.
Well, y'all on the top ranked vote, so, I mean, do you think that?
I used to sit back and complain, and I still feel me sit back and complain, but you gotta realize they ain't really gonna do too much. They in control, they in power, but I will tell the world that they love Oscar Valdez and they don't want me to be in the ring with Oscar Valdez because they know what's gonna happen. And Oscar Valdez don't want it either, so he can sit there and after a fight go and say, oh, I want to fight Shakur Stevenson, but when we reach out, it ain't no talks until me and him fighting. There ain't nothing. Yeah, it's a bunch. You feel me? Like he gonna say at the interview, and feel me? But he ain't really jumping in towards it. He ain't home with that.
After Shakur Stevenson beat Jamel Herring, ESPN didn't even play the post-fight interview with Shakur Stevenson. Oh, they did the interview. They just didn't play it during the live broadcast. You had to switch over to a different show on the ESPN app just to listen to the interview, the post-fight interview. This is something that ESPN never does. They did this because they knew that Shakur Stevenson was about to call out Oscar Valdez. And as Shakur Stevenson just said, they did not want to see that fight because they all knew what would happen. Listen, man, when it comes to the word support, new media, we are always on the front lines. We're always the first to get hit with the water hose and have the dog sicked on us. We're the first ones that have to walk through the fire in defense of fighters like Shakur Stevenson and everyone else on the coincidental list. Listen, man, I'm not asking for any fighter's support, but I appreciate it when they do show me love. I've had tons of fighters, especially since I've been out here in Thailand. All the way from Floyd Mayweather to Sean Porter, Broner, the Charlo brothers, etc., all of them. They've all been asking my man Skip, who Shakur was referring to. He covers the fights for me and Aki, and Skip is always telling me. He'll always say, man, guess who was asking about you this time? So-and-so said, man, where Dontae at? When is he coming back? Tell him I said, what's up, man? Tell him we love him, man, etc. You guys have heard plenty of the biggest names in the sport of boxing while they're doing a round table, while they're doing a scrum with a whole bunch of reporters from different channels and different websites. And these boxers are shouting out Dontaesboxingnation. You guys have heard many boxers do this, and they're voluntarily doing it. They're not being asked to shout out Dontaesboxingnation. And my point is, Shakur Stevenson has never done this before. He's never done it before. Never just voluntarily shouted out Dontaesboxingnation. The only time Shakur Stevenson has ever voluntarily said my name is in this diss video. Now, I'm going to elaborate on that point, but let me go ahead and get back to what Shakur Stevenson said. Now, I'm going to try my best to remove the curse words so the video doesn't get flagged. Check it out.
Now you getting on YouTube and keep talking crazy like I said, I ain't for my people. I'm not for my people, bruh.
Okay, let's stop right there. Nowhere in the video or any videos that I've ever made about Shakur Stevenson did I say Shakur Stevenson was not for his people. I mean, if you're going to respond to something I said in the video, you got to quote what I said. You guys can go back. I want everyone who didn't watch that video to go back and listen to every single thing that I said in the video. That's the best thing about YouTube and the internet. Everything you say is documented. Now, since we're talking about being for your people, it's a good time to address this. Now, I always see these words being thrown out like pro-black, and surprisingly, a lot of times those words are not even being used by black people. A lot of times it'll be Mexican fans that will be saying this or using that word. And I want to make it very clear when it comes to Shakur Stevenson or anyone else. Pointing out racial double standards, exposing racial double standards, it has nothing to do with being pro-black. You don't even have to be black to point out double standards, racial double standards, to point out racism, period. Stephen Espinoza, a lot of people don't know this, but Stephen Espinoza, he exposes racism on his social media accounts all the time. My man Aki, he's not black, but he exposes racial double standards. The reason why we are all here right now, and all of you guys are listening to this video, is because this is a boxing channel. And the only reason we have to talk about racism, because boxing is based on race, nationality, and pride. So my point is, when Shakur Stevenson says, he said, I'm not for my people, this has never been about trying to prove how black you are. This has never been some type of contest to try to out-black the next black person. I don't retract anything that I said. I stand by every single thing that I said, and I'm going to continue to expose the racial double standards. And when I see black fighters that are possibly putting themselves in a position to where it will be easier for the racist and old media to discredit them and try to disregard them, I'm going to make videos like the last one I made, where I'm telling Shakur Stevenson, you need to just pay attention to what's going on and be careful, because they are trying their best to replace all of these fighters on the pound for pound list that look like you. And that's what this has all been about. This ain't got nothing to do with anything outside of boxing. We're talking about the racial double standards that exist in the sport of boxing. Like I said, you go back and you watch my videos. Whenever a fighter that was not black deserved the credit, you guys have heard me praising certain fighters. Once again, like Tyson Fury, Lomachenko, even praising Canelo Alvarez when he took certain fights, like the Lara fight or the Gennady Golovkin fight. But you ain't gonna never get credit from me just to try to make the Canelo Alvarez fans feel better. That's what you ain't gonna never get from me. Once again, Shakur Stevenson, he talks about supporting me, but I'm the one that's been doing the real support. I've been defending and fighting for what's right when it comes to Shakur Stevenson for years and years and years. Because once again, this is bigger than Shakur Stevenson.
Me? This fucking said because of basically I support Bam. Lil Bam. He say what he say? He say I look up to Bam and I support Bam more than I support myself or some shit like that. Like what? Bro, the little dude nice, bro. I respect skills, bro. It don't got nothing to do with race. He saying I'm saying it because I wanna have my Mexican fan base. I wanna keep the Mexican fan base thumping, like, hey, y'all support me, but it's still like, yo, I don't care what it is, bro. At the end of the day, bro, I support skills at the end of the day. Lil Bam can fight. When I speak on Boots can fight. When I speak on Keyshawn can fight. You say why I don't give praise to Boots. When I got on ESPN, I did my top 5 boxers in boxing. Boots was on my list, right? Everybody on my list was black, all black fighters. It was me, Bud. I think Tank might have been up there. I think I might have put Canelo. Canelo probably been the only fighter I put up there type shit. Like, I'm not no motherfucking against it.
Okay, so the first correction is, I never said that Shakur Stevenson, he respects Bam Bam more than he respects himself. What I said was, it should be the other way around when it comes to Shakur Stevenson saying, he's one of my favorite fighters, and he's showing footage of him sitting down, watching Bam's videos, and he's like, wow, man, this dude is sharp. He's so special. He's so special. What I was saying is, because Bam Bam, honestly, is nowhere near on the level of a Shakur Stevenson, I would expect Bam Bam to be saying these things about Shakur Stevenson. Now, I had seen someone in my comment section saying, hey, Dante, well, remember Canelo Alvarez, he praised Gervonta Tank Davis. And in that video, I explained that situation. I said, it's different if you have some younger fighter who's constantly praising a certain fighter, someone who has a bigger name, who's more experienced, this young guy like Gervonta. And that was the example I was using. I just didn't use any names. But I said in that video, Gervonta Tank Davis, the fact that he has been constantly praising Canelo Alvarez over and over and over again, then all of a sudden, Canelo, he finally, in return, praises Gervonta Tank Davis. That is usually how it works.
Then this motherfucker said, go look at my page. He said, I got a video pinned to my profile, basically, that I got me punching Jamel, beating up Jamel, but I don't got a video of me beating up Valdez pinned to my profile because it'll make the Mexican fan base mad. Like, what? Come on, bro. Like, I just enjoyed my performance with Jamel where I was basically putting hands on Jamel with all due respect. I don't got nothing bad to say. I talk to Jamel every now and then. Like, I'm cool with him. Like, we don't got no beef, nothing. But I was basically putting hands on him, so I liked that video, so I pinned it to my profile. I ain't posted on no dumb shit like motherfucking, oh, I want to keep my Mexican fan base happy. I'm not gonna motherfucking post the video with me and Valdez. I don't even got a highlight video of me and motherfucking Valdez, bro. Like, truth be told, I see it on YouTube. That is one of my favorite fights, don't get me wrong. I just felt like offensively I was punching on Jamel more than I got a chance to really, you know, Valdez was giving me more so like a weird kind of defense.
Okay, so in that clip right there, you guys heard, I mean, Shakur, he didn't really disagree with anything that I said when I pointed out the fact that Shakur did not have his biggest win and his latest win, the most recent win, posted on his Instagram, but he has the Jamel Herring fight pinned on there. Listen, obviously it's Instagram. He didn't have to put the whole Oscar Valdez fight up. He could have just put that clip of him knocking down Oscar Valdez with that perfect check hook. In fact, that video clip right there, it was pretty much trending on the internet. But let's just be honest when it comes to the double standards. We know that when Andre Ward, when he beat Sergey Kovalev, the majority of race fans, they had nothing but negative things to say. When Devin Haney just beat George Kambosos for undisputed, the majority of the race fans had nothing but negative things to say. When Shakur Stevenson beat Oscar Valdez, and the list goes on and on and on. So I think even Shakur Stevenson would agree with me that, yeah, if you ever are putting up clips of you beating up someone who's not black, there's a very good chance you're going to get more negative comments. You're going to receive more negative comments than positive comments. I mean, before Canelo Alvarez lost to Bivol, if you were to say Canelo Alvarez, no matter who you are, especially if you're black, if you were to say Canelo Alvarez is number one, the best fighter in the world, I don't care what anyone says. If you say that, as opposed to saying the same thing about Terrence Crawford, I don't care what anyone says, Terrence Crawford is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Everyone, including Shakur Stevenson, we all know that you're going to receive more backlash for the latter.
Motherfucking people just be saying anything, like, you reaching, bro, like, why you gotta reach on me, bro? I'm really, like, solid dude, bro. I really come from the trenches, bro. Like, I've been taking care of, like, motherfucking my family, people, like, my whole family black. I came up with a black family. Motherfucking, I was raised in Newark, New Jersey. Motherfucking, like, I'm not one of them dudes that gotta motherfucking say some shit to motherfucking for a check or somebody else saying something to me or however. Like, bro, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying everything that I say out of what
Now, once again, this has never been about proving how black you are. You don't have to prove how black you are. The only thing I'm saying is you have to be aware of your surroundings. Shakur Stevenson has one goal. His goal is to get the respect he deserves in the sport of boxing. He wants to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Many people believe that he's the next Floyd Mayweather. I've been telling you guys that Shakur Stevenson is the closest thing to the next Floyd Mayweather, but it's definitely between Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, especially after I seen the adjustments and how easy Devin Haney made that Kambosos fight. I was really impressed. But once again, this is not about being blacker than someone else. This is not about your personal family, what race your best friends are, what type of food you eat every day, if it's soul food every day, Chinese, Mexican, or Italian. This is not about who you date. This is not about who you allow your kids to date. This is about boxing. We are here because we are talking boxing. Of course, there's racism all across the globe, but we usually talk about whatever pertains to boxing. And we're talking about the racism, the double standards, and the injustices that exist in this sport and affect fighters like Shakur Stevenson.
I see. He was talking about some Tyson Fury. I said Tyson Fury could beat Ali. Motherfucker, I just said, honest, and this honest, I never said Tyson Fury is more skillful than Ali. I never said none of that. I never said Tyson Fury is better than Ali. I say just because of the size difference. The size difference on motherfucking Tyson Fury and Ali. Tyson Fury 6'9", 290. Ali was like, what? 210, 220. Like, he wasn't really like a big heavyweight. So it's like, just putting them in the same ring together is like a hard, like, you know, it's gonna be kind of hard for Ali just because of the fact that he's so big, bro. So I don't know, bro.
Okay, just giving you guys the heads up because I moved away from my studio. I'm no longer using that microphone, so the audio is going to sound a little bit different. But let's go ahead and talk about what Shakur Stevenson said when it comes to Tyson Fury beating Muhammad Ali. So Shakur Stevenson, he said nobody is going to beat Tyson Fury, and then he said, man, he would beat Muhammad Ali. Now, you just heard him right there. He said, look, I'm not saying he's better than Muhammad Ali. I wasn't saying he was more skilled than Muhammad Ali. I'm just saying that he beats Muhammad Ali. Okay, so if you don't believe that Tyson Fury is better than Ali, if you don't believe that he's as skilled as Ali, why even compare them? I mean, you could have compared Tyson Fury to many other heavyweights. Why did you decide to compare him to Muhammad Ali in particular? It's because people call Muhammad Ali the greatest, right? I didn't say he was better than Ali. I didn't say he was more skilled than Muhammad Ali. I'm just saying he beats Muhammad Ali. I mean, would you take that as a compliment if somebody said that so-and-so would beat you? Oh, I'm not saying he's better than you. I'm not saying he's more skilled than you. I'm just saying he would beat you. Listen, before I continue, I want to make it clear. I'm not going to sit here and say Shakur Stevenson is not for his people. Shakur Stevenson is definitely for his people. He just doesn't understand what's going on around him. Prime example. You know, before I found out that Shakur Stevenson, he dedicated this whole video to me, I was about to make another Shakur Stevenson video, and it was going to be about SB's Fighter of the Year award. Shakur Stevenson is one of the nominees, but he's going up against Tyson Fury and Katie Taylor. Now, Shakur Stevenson, he put up a post, I believe, on his Instagram, basically telling his fans to vote for him. He said, y'all know I deserve this. But Shakur, you just said Tyson Fury, he beats Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali's name is synonymous with the words the greatest. You just told the world that Tyson Fury ain't nobody gonna beat him. He went on the DAZN show and he told the guys on the DAZN show that Tyson Fury doesn't have to even fight anyone because we already know what he would do. Tyson Fury is so good, he doesn't even have to show us how good he is. He can retire today, and because we already know that he would beat them all, he doesn't even have to get in the ring and prove it. Oh, and one more time, he would also beat Muhammad Ali. Shakur, do you think they're going to give you an award over this man that you just said these things about? Shakur Stevenson, once again, he went on the DAZN show and had a debate with Akim Barak over, once again, Tyson Fury being so good, there's no point for him to even fight an Usyk or a Joe Joyce or even Cuban's Frank Sanchez. Now, guys, I've already told you, when it comes to comparing Tyson Fury to the other former heavyweight champions like Lennox Lewis, the difference from Lennox Lewis and a Tyson Fury is once Lennox Lewis became the heavyweight champion of the world, he defended his titles against all of the best young rising heavyweights, the young lions, if you will. And credit to Vitaly Klitschko, Vitaly did the same thing. He just ended up losing to Lennox Lewis. And speaking of Lennox Lewis, Shakur Stevenson, he was asked on the DAZN show, is there anyone that can beat Tyson Fury, past or present? And they even mentioned Lennox Lewis as an example, just throwing a name out there. And Shakur Stevenson, he started to say, man, I can't really see anybody beating him. And then he started talking about the whole Muhammad Ali situation again, you know, using the same talking points that he used when he was responding to me. Now, remember, Shakur Stevenson said He's not saying that Tyson Fury is better than Ali. He's not saying he's as skilled. He's just saying that he was way too big. And because of his size advantage and height, he would beat Muhammad Ali. So while Shakur was saying that he couldn't think of anyone in heavyweight history that could beat Tyson Fury, and Barack, they pretty much forced Shakur Stevenson to give them a name. So then they asked him, they said, okay, just one. If you had to just name one fighter that would give Tyson Fury his toughest fight, Shakur Stevenson said Holyfield. That's the guy he mentioned. Remember, he said he thought that Muhammad Ali was too small. Holyfield was a cruiserweight that moved up to heavyweight, and he's actually shorter than Muhammad Ali. But speaking of cruiserweights, one of Tyson Fury's toughest fights was against another cruiserweight by the name of Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham, he managed to knock down Tyson Fury, and he was outboxing Tyson Fury pretty much half the night. And Steve Cunningham is shorter than Evander Holyfield and Muhammad Ali. Listen, there are plenty of former heavyweight champions that would have beat Tyson Fury. Matter of fact, another heavyweight who's much bigger than Muhammad Ali and Holyfield is Jared Anderson. And Shakur Stevenson, even though he was asked the question, do you think there's anyone that can beat Tyson Fury? And remember, they included fantasy matches, which would include someone like Jared Anderson, which is not really fantasy because Jared Anderson is fighting today. Tyson Fury is most likely going to come out of retirement and continue to fight. So with Shakur Stevenson saying that Jared Anderson, nobody would beat him, there's no doubt about it, Jared Anderson, he would have a really good chance of beating Tyson Fury. Not to mention Jared Anderson is the one that was knocking down, or some people even say knocked out, Tyson Fury in sparring. But I want to talk about something else that Shakur Stevenson said when he did this interview with and Barack. He continuously kept saying there's no reason for Tyson Fury to fight Usyk or any of those guys because we already know what's going to happen. And and Barack, they kept saying to Shakur Stevenson, it does not work that way. You cannot get credit for fantasy matches, basically. They didn't use the word fantasy matches, but that's pretty much what they were saying. You have to go in the ring and prove it. They even said to Shakur, before you beat Oscar Valdez, we had already knew you had potential to become one of the best fighters in the world, but you still had to fight an Oscar Valdez to prove it. Just like you got to keep fighting other big name fighters. Fighters like Shakur Stevenson, even Floyd Mayweather, they will never get the luxury of getting credit for fights that they don't take just based off of the fact that we all know Floyd Mayweather would have beat these guys. Let's go ahead and I'm going to this next clip because in this clip, Shakur Stevenson, he brought up Devin Haney. He said that I had said that he wasn't praising or he wasn't showing Devin Haney any type of love. That's completely untrue. But let me just go ahead and play the clip of what he said and I'm going to respond.
Lil Bam could fight. Keyshawn, Boots. We the new generation. Devin. You start talking about, or why I ain't talking about Devin like that. I bet $17K to win $10,000 on Devin. Like, that was one of my first gambles ever. Like, what is we talking about, bro? I'll definitely speak highly on Devin, too.
Okay, now let me tell you guys exactly what I said when it comes to Devin Haney in the video that he's actually talking about. In my video, I was going to play a clip, but I'm just going to go ahead and quote it. You guys can go back and listen to the video. But in that video, what I said was Shakur Stevenson is saying that Bam Bam is special, but he needs 2 more years to fight Inoue. Bam Bam is 22 years old. What I said in that video is if he's special, why does he need 2 years to fight Inoue? Devin Haney, he was calling out Lomachenko at age 20 and made Lomachenko vacate his belt rather than fight the 20-year-old mandatory Devin Haney. And then I said at age 23, Devin Haney, he became the undisputed champion in one of the deepest divisions in boxing. That's what Shakur Stevenson is responding to when he says, Oh, and you said, you know, I'm not showing Devin Haney any type of love. I bet on him. I bet all this kind of money. Now, for the record, guys, Shakur Stevenson has always shown Devin Haney love. And like I said, I never even said he didn't show him love. I was just talking about Bam Bam by way of contrast. When you say he's special, I was just saying, well, if he's special, he shouldn't need 2 more years to fight Inoue. Just like Devin Haney, he didn't need an extra 2 or 3 years to fight Lomachenko. That statement had nothing to do with how you feel about Devin Haney.
But he said, I did an interview with a racist in Paulie Malignaggi. Yo, I swear to God, even if Paulie is racist, if he not, I don't know. I don't know nothing about him being racist. He hit me up for an interview. I did an interview. I don't know nothing about none of that. Like, that's not nothing. I don't know if he said something racist. I don't know what y'all got going. I don't know that. That's new to me. So, like, for you to even post that is like trying to put a false narrative about me, basically. Like, I'm rocking with racist dudes and I don't know. I still don't know. I never researched anything about Paulie being racist. I don't know about that. That's nothing I know about, bro. So you going up on motherfucking YouTube I done ignored you, bro. Like, chill, bro. Like, I'm really, like, you feel me? What you on, bro? Like, come on, Dontaes. I knew you for a long time. I remember when you was a fucking early on, back when I used to come to Vegas type shit when I was like 17 years old, sparring Devin and all that. Like, I knew you, bro. Chill, bro.
Now, Shakur, you said I'm putting out false narratives. There's nothing that I said was false. It's a fact that you did the interview with a racist. That's not up for debate. That is a fact. And outside of me stating the obvious, stating the fact that you actually did this interview with Paulie Malignaggi, who is a racist, a known racist, was there anything in particular that I said in that video that you felt was offensive to you? It couldn't be, because there was nothing I said in that video that was disrespectful to you. And you said you didn't know that Paulie was a racist. And maybe you didn't know, and that's not your fault. But in the video, I put up the reports, and I seen people in the comment section saying, wow, I didn't even know this about Paulie Malignaggi. Thanks for showing this article. And then you say you don't know what we got going on. Kind of like when you said I was beefing with ESPN. Now when it comes to Paulie, you say you don't know what we got going on. Me and Paulie got going on. What you really should have said is you don't know what Showtime and Paulie Malignaggi had going on. Because Paulie Malignaggi, he got fired from Showtime for racist remarks that he made about black people. I explained all of this in the video. I already showed the reports and explained all of this in detail. This is all stuff that is completely documented. So you said you didn't know that he was a racist before, but now that you know, you clearly know now that he is a racist. Are you going to do another interview with him in the future? And if you do decide to do that interview, are you going to blame that on me because you're doing another interview with a racist? Man, I did that video to let you know that Paulie Malignaggi is a racist, just in case you didn't know. That was my way of saying, Shakur Stevenson, you know that guy is a racist, right? Let me show you his credentials. Let me show you his past, just in case you didn't already know. That's no different than you telling me you about to get on the freeway, and I'm telling you it was just reported that there's a big accident on that freeway and traffic is completely backed up. That's not throwing you under the bus. That's looking out for you. Listen, I'm gonna get ready to start wrapping this video up. I'm over 40 minutes in. I still haven't said every single thing that I wanted to say, but I'm gonna close out by talking about something else that Shakur Stevenson said, at least in terms of something that he posted. Shakur, he said he lost all respect for me and he will no longer support my channel. So my question is, what does that respect and support include? Like, what will I no longer be receiving on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis? Are you talking about the 2 interviews you did with my guy in the last 6 years? That's the support for the channel that I will never have anymore? Listen, Shakur, I don't do this to get your respect. I do this to get these black boxers the respect that they deserve. I would prefer you to respect yourself and respect everyone else that's going through the same struggle that you're going through. Because if every black fighter is on the same page, whenever you feel that you're being mistreated because they're not giving you the Oscar Valdez fight and they're protecting him, when you see other fighters that are dealing with similar situations, hell, forget about supporting me. I don't really need the support because I'm always going to be over here doing the same thing, speaking the whole truth. My goal is to get the message out. My goal is to get the message out and make sure that the message resonates. That's all I want to do. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. Once again, all you got to do is keep showing that support and showing that respect to the other fighters that need the support. Shakur, you're absolutely right. You've been praising Jaron Ennis. You put the majority of black fighters on your pound for pound list. You're absolutely right about that. So continue to do things like that. Continue to support other people like Stephen Fulton if you haven't already did it. Stephen Fulton can use some of that support from all of the boxers because he's pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, and old media, they're trying to completely ignore him, mainly because he doesn't have a big name. Even though Inoue and Chocolatito Gonzalez, when he was on the pound for pound list, didn't have a big name either. Every sport has their Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryants. And in this sport of boxing, all of those fighters are black Americans. And all of those fighters that I just mentioned, from Devin to Shakur Stevenson, to Stephen Fulton, Jaron Ennis. Of course, the more experienced, the bigger name fighters like Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Gervonta Tank Davis. These are all the Jordans, the LeBron James of the sport, which is why they deserve all the support in the world when it comes to the double standards that exist in this sport of boxing. Shakur Stevenson, he also called me fat. He said, "my fat dude," which was really odd because the only time I see any comments of somebody calling me fat, it's always from racist Mexicans. And I can show you the comments to prove it. And I know when they say it, those are code words for what they really want to call me, because they really want to say some racial stuff. Because when I first started doing this YouTube stuff, when I first was posting videos about 8 years ago, Mexican fans, at least the racist ones, they weren't using any code words back then. They were extremely comfortable. They felt extremely comfortable calling black people racial slurs in the comment section. But now, since they know that I have a reputation of exposing racist people, now they say we can't call him that anymore because all we're going to do is prove him right. But I'm going to expose you racists no matter what you say. And no matter how you try to say it, I will continue to expose you racists because you guys are the ones that I really have zero respect for. So clearly Shakur Stevenson, he got the fat dude comments from racist Mexicans. But that ain't gonna hold me back. It's gonna take way more than a nation of 1 million racists to hold me back. I'm gonna continue to speak the truth. You guys have to understand, speaking the truth has never been the popular narrative, especially when it comes to the sport of boxing, because the best, most dominant fighters in the sport don't usually have the complexion for the protection, at least according to old media. One last point I wanted to make, actually. I started this video off telling you guys how I've been living out here in Thailand for 4 years. I love the country. It's a beautiful country. It's completely changed my life. And I've been telling you guys that I'm going to make videos and, I'm going to start a Thai channel where I'm showing you guys my lifestyle and everything that's going on, why you would love it out here as well. Now, the reason why I never got around to starting that new channel yet is because it is a lot of work. I'll be honest, when I figured out, I was looking at how other people that I knew who have started channels like this, traveling type of channels, man, they were working like 10 times more than I do. With all of the filming, the recording, the editing, it's a lot of work, especially when it comes to the easy work I do when it comes to my boxing channel. Once again, this Thailand life has spoiled me so much, man. I just want to go ahead and knock these videos out real quick and get right back to living my best life. I haven't done a live show in 3 years. I haven't been doing any interviews. I've just been trying to knock these videos out as soon as possible. But guys, I will definitely be starting the live show. I know I've been telling you guys that forever, but I'm going to get it started for sure. But I told you, whenever I share little stories and I tell you guys about Thailand, I appreciate everyone showing the love and support. I mean, I'm talking about, of course, black people. They're always showing the love and support. Once again, they're all saying that they want to come out here. And like I told you guys, if you come out here, you're going to fall in love with the country. Now, coincidentally, there's only been one race in my comment section when I am talking about Thailand that always has something negative to say, or they completely ignore the whole topic. And you guys all know which race that is. I don't even have to say it. But when it comes to all the black people who have always said, man, I want to come out there, etc., one of those black people who said that was Shakur Stevenson himself. Shakur Stevenson, he reached out to me like 3 years ago. He DM'd me, said, what's up? Like, when you coming back to the States? And I told him, I'm probably never coming back to the States. I started telling Shakur Stevenson how, man, you would love it out here. And I went into some complete detail. And Shakur said, oh, man, I'm definitely coming out there, right? And then after that, I sent him another message or two, and he never responded. He never responded at all, almost as if I was some kind of random fan that was just sending him messages on his Instagram. He was the one that initiated the conversation. I bring this up because Shakur Stevenson was talking about how he has so much love for me and he had so much support, etc. But when Shakur stopped responding, I kept the exact same energy. I continued to expose double standards. I continued to support Shakur Stevenson when it comes to the bigger picture. And that's why I did it, because it was bigger than me and Shakur Stevenson being buddies. And it will always be bigger than that. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man ScalpCarolinas on Instagram.
How has this changed your life, man?
It's been good. It's been good. I feel younger, look younger. Picking up the younger girls. I just can't scratch that, but it's been good. It's been good. I like the look. I like the feel. I feel more confident now, you know, and it was money well spent, should I say.
Cool. Now, in terms of the response, what has been people said, like, as people being like, hey, you know, what do you have on your head, or things of that sort?
The most response I get is like, yo, what barber you go to? How they get, you know, such a close shave with, you know, everything lined up so sharp and everything. And, you know, then I go into explaining to them the procedure of what I had done and everything. And they all was like, I would never done if you didn't point.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues. So make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.
Stop talking about me, bro. Stop that, bro. I be showing y'all people too much love for y'all to motherfucking sit there and try to bash me like I'm not for my people. Just, yo.